Hi YouTube. Today we're going to talk about one of my favorite subjects to talk about, Glock pistols and why people love them. Now, I'm going to try and make this as short as possible, but this is somewhat of a long subject on why people like these things so much. And I've gotten a lot of slack, people saying that I make fun of Glock pistols and I don't like Glock pistols. Well, obviously, I do like Glock pistols because I own every one of these on this table. And I don't buy stuff that I don't like. But with that being said, I have every one of these pistols for a reason. Every firearm that I own serves a purpose to me. And I'm going to go through, this is by far not going to be a review on each one of these individual pistols, but it's going to give you a quick overview on why people love these things so much and why I like them so much. So let's dive into this and see where we can go with it. We're going to start with the biggest one. This is a Glock 21. This is a full-size 45 ACP. As many folks know, if you've watched any of my other videos, I'm a huge fan of the 45 ACP caliber. Now, if you live in a state, which I do not, where you can open carry, in my opinion, and I've stated this before, my opinion is worth exactly what you paid for it when you clicked on this video. If you live in a state where you can open carry, I think this is the ultimate weapon. This gun, with its factory magazine in it, the factory magazine holds 13 rounds of 45 ACP and one in the chamber. That's 14 rounds total. But this is a big gun. It takes up your whole hand. It's very blocky. It's very big. And but it helps cut down on some of the recoil of the 45 ACP. I use this gun to go to the range because it's a double stack 45. It's very reliable and it's very accurate. That is why I own this gun. If they ever change the laws to open carry, this will be what I carry on my side every single day. But until they do that, I'm going to use this as a range gun, and that's what it's for. Now, I know I give a lot of slack to the Gucci Glocker Club. And if you're into modifying your Glock pistols and all that, I mean, if that's what makes your world go around, then so be it. You should not do that. If that's what makes you happy, you do what makes you happy, not what makes the internet happy. But you need to do it for the right reasons. If you're going to modify your Glock because you think you can sell it and make a profit on it, you're doing the wrong thing. You're not going to make a profit on these. One of the attractions of these pistols is they're inexpensive. They're very affordable for pretty much anybody that wants to get into the firearm game. They're very versatile and they're very easy to work on. You literally don't need any special tools or anything to modify these things. And you don't need a lot of training or a lot of skill to modify these things. If you can watch YouTube, if you can figure simple things out, you can do it. Pretty much an analogy is if you can put together a jigsaw puzzle, you can put together one of these things. But we'll go into that here in a little bit. Second one I'm going to show you. This is a Glock 19X. This is probably the most Gucci-fied Glock I have. This is a 9mm. This was the Glock that they submitted to the military to try and get the military contract when the military was looking to replace the Beretta. And to be honest with you, I'm pretty shocked they didn't get it, but I know why they didn't get it, and we'll go into that in another video. I'm going to compare the Glock to the 6-hour P320 and show you why Glock didn't get it. But this, to my knowledge, is the only Glock pistol that they ever made that was a different color other than black. from the factory. Now, you have companies like Davidson's that sells colored Glocks, and you have a variety of local companies and stuff that will Cerakote them different colors, but this is a true different color Glock. Even the case this gun comes in is this color. It looks like peanut butter on top, and it's a little bit different color on the frame and all that. But this gun, it comes with factory night sights on them. I did not put that on there, so I guess you can see it's sort of Gucci-fied. And has a little lanyard loop on the bottom. It has this little hump here that I really don't understand what that even does. Some magazines won't fit in it correctly, like the newer style Gen 5 magazines that have the piece extended off where you can rip it off. They won't fit into it, but pretty much any other magazine will fit into it. But I got this gun for a couple reasons. One, it intrigued me that this is the gun that lost out to the Sig Sauer P320. And second of all, what I like about this gun, it is a full-size frame. This is the same frame that they use on the Glock 17, which is the first ever Glock to ever come out. Full-size frame with a shortened slide. Now, this is very similar. I'm a big 1911 fan, and I like the Commander size 1911. Well, this is kind of like a Commander size Glock. Full-size frame, shortened slide. And I like it. This gun comes with two 19-round magazines and one flush-fitting 17-round magazine. So if you put the largest magazine in it, which I don't see why you'd put anything besides that in it, you're not going to really carry this and conceal it very well because of the length of this frame. You have 20 rounds of 9mm in this gun. Who wouldn't want to take a range gun that holds 20 rounds? It's a lot less reloading, it's a lot more shooting time. But that is why I own this gun, and I do like it. I do like it a lot. That's my Gucci Glock. The next one I'm going to show you. This is a Glock 19. This is their mid-size 9mm. This is probably the most popular gun in the United States. Pretty much anybody that's into firearms either owns one of these, they used to own one of these, or they at the very least have shot one of these. This is mid-size 9mm. It's a lot shorter frame than the Glock 19X I just showed you, but the same size slide. Now, this one is a Gen 5, and I'm not going to get too much into the difference into the generation because I don't know all the differences, but I know enough to be dangerous. Doesn't have finger grooves on it. It has a mag weld in it. This one was actually, I bought this gun brand new. This was ordered for one of my local police departments, and it sat and never got issued to an officer before they changed over to a different model Glock. So it came with the True Glow night sights on it. I didn't put those on there, but I'm glad it does because the front one has the orange ring around the tritium, and it's very easy to pick up. So I like that about it, and that's one of the reasons I bought it. But this is a great gun, and it fits in your hand nice. Soft shooting because it's 9mm. It holds 15 rounds in the magazine and 1 in the chamber, which makes a total of 16. This is a carryable size gun. If you prefer the 9mm gun, this would be a good option to carry because the capacity is still pretty high and it's still not that big of a gun. Very concealable, very usable gun. The next one I'm going to show you. This is probably my favorite Glock that they ever made. This is what I carry every single day of my life. This is a Glock 30S. Now this gun will fit in the palm of my hand. And this is chambered in 45 ACP. Now what I like about this gun is this is a double stack frame, and they put a thin slide on it. They have a regular Model 30 that has a larger slide on it. It's a lot more bulky. This thing is the cat's meow. This gun holds 10 rounds a 45 ACP, and one in the chamber for a total of 11 in a package the size that fits in the palm of your hand. And the way this gun came about is when the Glock 36 came out, it was a single stack 45. I don't think it went over very well because it didn't have a large capacity, and the whole gun was really thin. That was the attraction to it, but I think it only holds like 6 or 7 rounds of 45 ACP. I think it's 6 in the magazine, and people just weren't attracted to it because of the lack of capacity. So what they were trying to do is they were trying to figure out whether they could take this thin slide here and fit it on the regular Glock 30 with the double stack frame. And they could. Well, Glock told them, you can't do that. It's dangerous. You can't be switching parts in and out. Well, you could do it. The reason they said that is so they could sell more guns, because they ultimately released this gun, put the thin slide on it, and that came about the 30S. S stands for slim. This gun is awesome. I take it with me every single day of my life. I love it. This gun does have night sights on it. They were factory night sights came on it. They're Glock night sights, but I didn't Gucci it. I didn't put them on there, but that just happens to be how it's set up. But for people to say that I don't like Glock pistols, I carry one every single day of my life. I rely on my life on a Glock pistol. This is a Glock 44. This is chambered in 22 long rifle. Now this gun is awesome. Everybody knows about Glock's reliability, and we'll go into that here in a second. But they were late getting to the 22 long rifle game. If you want to go to the range and you don't have tons of money to spend on ammo, and when ammo wasn't really available here for the last 2 years, unless you were made of money and were willing to buy it from some person that was flipping it, this was a good option. This is the exact same size as the Glock 19, which I told you is the most popular pistol in the United States, and it shoots the very inexpensive 22 long rifle. This gun's very reliable. A lot of 22 long rifle semi-automatic pistols have reliability issues. This is not one of them. I shoot the cheapest bulk ammunition that money can buy out of this thing, and I never have a problem with it. You are going to have your occasional hiccups here and there, but you're going to have that with all 22 pistols. Would I rely on my life on this gun to carry it around? No, I would not. It's not because it's a 22 long rifle, because a 22 long rifle is still a deadly caliber. It's just, if you had one of those hiccups in a time of stress, it's not the time for it to happen. So no, I'm not going to carry this gun around. What's unique about this gun is the frame is polymer, and so is the slide. The whole top of this slide is polymer, which blows my mind. The bottom part right here, that's the only steel part. The part that rides on the rails inside there, and of course the barrel is steel, but pretty much the rest of this gun is polymer. It feels like a toy in your hand. It's so light, but it is exactly the same size as the Glock 19, the most popular handgun in the United States. So if you were training, this would be a great option. If you have a beginning shooter, this is a great option, because muscle memory is one thing that human beings have. So if you learn if you're new to firearms and you learn all the controls and everything on that and want to eventually switch to a 9mm, this is the one to use, because you will learn all the functions. They all function the same and everything on this gun, with virtually no recoil and very low cost. But awesome gun. I enjoy shooting it. Now, why do people like Glock so much? Well, there's a few reasons. The Glock pistol is unsurpassed in its reliability. They have 40 years of engineering and work that went into making this pistol. They all look the same. besides that 19X on there that's a different color, they all look the same. They're not aesthetically pleasing. They're not pretty, but they work. I've compared them to a hammer. A hammer is a good tool. You're not going to have problems with these things. They're not going to fail on you. They will always go bang every single time. But they're not pretty. They're not collectible. They've made millions of these things, and none of them are any different than the other one. Sure, there's a couple little things. They have some of them with little optic cutout things here and stuff like that. But other than that, folks, there's nothing different about them. There's different generations. This is a Generation 4, so it's got finger grooves in it, versus the Generation 5 that doesn't have finger grooves in it. But nothing's different about them. You're never going to collect these things and make money on them. They're not collectible. Now, when it gets into modifying them, that's a touchy subject with some people. Glock spent 40 years perfecting the Glock perfection. 40 years. And what people tend to do is take these things and modify them. Well, why would you change something that's a proven product that everybody knows them for their reliability? They don't call it Glock perfection for nothing, because they are. They're pretty much perfect in their functionality. But people refuse to listen, and they want to make them better. Well, you're not going to make these things any better than they are, because they're perfect right now. They work every single time. Now, if you want to do something to modify it, to make it look a little different for your liking, there's nothing wrong with that. But these people who take these guns, like this plain Jane one right here, and they're going to paint it purple and put flowers all on the side of it and put a death skull on the side of it and a big old optic sticking on the top of it, and then think they're going to sell it to some local sucker for $2,000. I mean, that's ridiculous. If you want to get into the gun building game and start profiting off of it, open a gun store. Do it. But there's no reason to try and rip off your fellow gun people. There's just no reason to do it. The people change slides and stuff, man. They have slides that have holes cut inside of them. Well, they're not Glock slides. Glock spent 40 years to come up with this design. If people change the triggers on them, there's nothing wrong with a Glock trigger. You just have to get used to them. They're a little spongy, and it seems like they're very inconsistent. Like this one here, for some reason, I've never done anything to this gun. This one's probably the best one that I have for trigger, but it still has a little sponge to it. But it is pretty crisp. This gun here, now one of the modifications that I do to them, and I know it seems like I'm contradicting myself, but they're a little heavy from the factory, Glock triggers are. And I put just a $10 ghost bar in every single one of them. This is my carry one. It has the least amount of take-up. This has got the best trigger out of all of them. The least amount of sponginess, and I have just that ghost bar in it, and it's that good. But this is the one that I carry every single day. This one, the one that I bought from, that they were going to issue to the police department, I've done nothing to it. And it's got a pretty good trigger. It's pretty close to that Glock 30S that I have right there. And I've done nothing to it. Now, I don't know if when they outfitted it out with the night sights on it, if they added a ghost bar to it or not. I have no idea. It didn't even interest me to look at it to see, because I really don't care. I just know it has a good trigger, and I'm not going to change anything about it. This gun here, I put a 3.5 pound ghost trigger bar in it, and it has the worst trigger of all of them. I mean, look at that thing. It has the worst one, but it's a range gun, and I can get used to it. This one feels the worst out of all of them. But, you know, when you start changing triggers, you start changing the triggers and the slides. Well, why did you buy a Glock anyway? People will change the barrels on them. Well, Glock took 40 years to come up with their barrels. It took 40 years to come up with their trigger systems. 40 years to come up with their slides, their frames, and all that. If you change them, you really don't have a Glock anymore, do you? If you're doing it for looks, it's fine. This gun here, this is the second one of these I've owned. The first one I owned was terrible. The trigger was so bad on it, I couldn't do anything about it, and I couldn't find anybody that can make it any better. So I traded it off in a deal for some other firearm. I don't even remember what it was. And I immediately went and bought another one. And I tried it out in the store first before I did it. And that one's got a pretty good quote-unquote Glock trigger in it. The first one did not, and there's nothing I could do about it. But anyway, folks, when you start modifying these things, it absolutely drives me nuts to watch people that put all this stuff on these guns and everything and list them on local websites and think they're going to get $2,000 out of this. These guns are affordable. On average, they're about $500 a piece. On average. I know that the 22 long rifle one doesn't cost $500, and I know the 19X costs a little more than $500, but if you average across the board, they're about $500 a piece. That's what you can expect to pay for a Glock, and that's all they'll ever be. When you start modifying them and putting all your colors and flowers on them and optics and all that, you're not adding to the value of them. If you're buying a firearm for its value, you're buying it for the wrong reason. Firearms are not investments. Firearms are a hobby, and firearms are used for self-defense and stuff like that. They're not an investment. They're never going to be an investment. If you're investing in firearms for investment reasons, you need to talk to a financial advisor. But when you modify these things, over-modify them, you have to understand that it's a labor of love. It's never going to pay off in the end. I have a Harley Davidson motorcycle that I have so much money in that I don't even want to discuss. I have a video on it. I will never get that money out of that motorcycle. But I did it because that's what I wanted to do. I didn't do it because I thought I could profit off of it. I don't plan on selling the motorcycle. I don't plan on selling any of these guns right here. So if you're buying a Glock pistol and you're going to Gucci-fy it, that's fine. But just understand it's going to be a labor of love. It's not going to add to the value of it. I had a friend of mine that used to have a car that he chromed everything underneath the hood. It looked cool. It really did. But we used to tell him, because he was into the drag racing scene. I was into the drag racing scene years ago. And we used to tell him, chrome don't get you home. It's not going to make it any faster. It's not going to make it any more valuable. But it does look good. You just understand that, folks. I do not dislike Glocks. And I don't dislike people that modify Glocks. But you have to do it for the right reason. You have to do it because it's what you want to do. Not because you think you're going to profit off of it. And there's no reason to screw over a fellow gun enthusiast. Leave that for the gun dealers, the crooked ones and all that. But buy what you can afford, buy what you like, and just hold on to it. If times ever got rough or anything, and the roadblocks do happen in life, and you are forced to sell when your firearms, these things are like liquid cash, but you can expect to get the going rate for them. They're about $500 a piece for a Glock. Very affordable. Now, another thing that makes Glocks very appealing, and one of the pluses I see to them, is they are very easy to work on. I've stated earlier in the video, they're easy to modify. Anybody can do it. So, if I want to turn it into a Gucci Glocker right now, I can do it right here on camera. I can take this gun right here, this 19X, pull the trigger, remove the slide, set it to the side, set the frame down. I can take this Glock 19, pull the trigger, remove the slide, if I can remove the slide, pull it off. I can take the 19X slide, slide it right on there. Hey, I just Gucci-fied a Glock, and it didn't take any training to do it. I can take the black slide, slide it on the 19X. Hey, look, I Gucci-fied another one. Literally, anybody can do this. That's what makes these things awesome. It's literally like putting a jigsaw puzzle together. They're easy to work on. No special tools, no special skills required, and pretty much they're very interchangeable. So that's one of the things that draw people to these things. I like them because it gets people that are not in the firearms, new people, it makes them able to own something that's it's a very good product at a very affordable price. And if they ever have any problems or do want to get into modifying them, the average person can do it. So I like them. They draw people into the hobby of firearms, and nobody's ever going to argue about their reliability. I mean, they are the gold standard for reliability. And like I said, I have all the high-end firearms. I have everything, and I am mainly a 1911 guy. But you're not going to tell me. Nobody's ever going to convince me that there's a better, more reliable pistol than a Glock out there. It's just not going to happen. I mean, they are the gold standard of reliability. But anyway, folks, I don't want to take too much of your time here. I just want to let you know that when I make fun of the Gucci Glockers, I'm not really making fun of you. I just want you to understand that do what you like. Don't do it for the wrong reason. And Glocks are good pistols. I do love them. If I didn't like them, I wouldn't own them. And I do own several of them. And anyway, folks, if you have any questions, I'm not a Glock expert by far. I know a little bit about the different generations and stuff like that and what changes they made and all that. And I will try to answer your questions. I don't know a lot about modifying them, what optics and all that stuff, but I will try to answer any questions you have. And y'all, thank you very much for watching this video.